Plan on flying? In order to board domestic flights, your driver's license or state-issued ID must be a real ID. Learn how to get your real ID today at tsa.gov/real ID or visit your local DMV.
Talk Radio 77 WABC. It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me, 5 o'clock. Good morning. It is Thursday, January 2nd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Snow showers this morning. Peaks of sunshine later this afternoon. The high going to be 42. Tonight and overnight clear, low 31. And then Friday, sun and clouds, high 38. If you are walking out the door with us right now, it's 40, partly cloudy in East Hampton out on Long Island. 37, partly cloudy in Riverdale over in New Jersey. And it's 39 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. A whole lot to get to as we work our way up. 6 o'clock hour. Sid and friends in the morning. How did this happen? It seems like just a couple days ago, you and I were sitting here talking about our big vacation plans, and now it's over. Here we are back at work. We'll all get through this together. It is the first day back. In some ways, it's kind of the worst day of the year. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, because you're thinking, when's my next vacation? All this happiness and all this gifting is over. Now it's time to pay the bills, pay the piper, and it's back to work. But there were celebrations, of course, everywhere. I mean, as you no doubt saw, there was a lot of stuff that happened in the aftermath. But in the countdown and the promise of 2025, it looked all good at midnight in Times Square. Yeah. I don't know about you. I didn't do a whole lot. I did watch Ryan Seacrest's, what is it? Wait, it's called, Dick Clark's New Year's Eve with Ryan Seacrest. And they did do this little cool thing where they had the drones in the air, which was sort of interesting with all the drone talk we had before we went into the break. But the drones were in the air over the Hudson River doing the countdown. It was kind of cool. I almost ran outside to watch it. But anyway, it all started really, really good, 2025, and then it's kind of been downhill ever since then. Just one god-awful story after another. The latest one, we'll go with the latest one and work our way back forward, is 10 people recovering after a mass shooting that took place last night in Queens.
Shots rang out just before 11:20 Wednesday night on 144th Place between 91st and Archer Avenues in Jamaica. That's outside the Amazura nightclub and event venue. 10 people are known to have been shot. 9 were taken to nearby hospitals. Police say others walked on their own. Everyone's reported in stable condition. The Daily News says cops are looking for a gray Infiniti that sped from the scene. No arrests. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
The other big stories are these two stories. One that seems to be terror-related. The other one we are just not sure yet. But what we're hearing is more information on this individual who drove his car onto Bourbon Street in New Orleans, killing at least 15, injuring dozens more. And the brother of this suspected terrorist who launched that deadly car attack on Bourbon Street around 3 a.m. New Year's Eve morning says that his brother was radicalized. He was born in Texas, was in the military, but they say in the years after that, he became an ISIS admirer. He described his brother as someone who had sort of lost touch with reality. In videos posted to Facebook, this individual, Sashmoud Dinjabar, pledged allegiance to ISIS before he went on that attack on Bourbon Street. In fact, he had an ISIS flag attached to the rented Ford F-150 that he drove into the crowd on New Year's Eve, into those revelers on Bourbon Street. Witnesses still talking, of course, about the carnage, everything they saw. Just an awful night in New Orleans, just an awful night for America.
A group of frantic females run inside, push past security, and hide under tables. And so when we seen that, we live here, and unfortunately, our first thoughts were somebody shooting or chasing them.
Yeah, I started to watch some of this video. It's just too hard to watch. 2 officers shot by this alleged terrorist. They're in stable condition.
Yeah, we heard the truck barrel by as more people piled in, and as soon as we got up to the balcony, he had already advanced 8 to 10 blocks.
So this was about 3:15 in the morning. The driver, this alleged terrorist, got out, started firing a weapon. Police returned fire. They killed him. The FBI in charge of the investigation. But there's been a lot of lawmakers trying to push the FBI aside or begging them to give us more information about what they know. And we do know a lot about this would-be, I guess we can just call him a terrorist at this point. Here's Congressman Troy Carter talking about the investigation, that it's moving quickly.
I have been in communication with the FBI, the White House, and Secretary Mayorkas of Homeland Security. Every possible resource has been dispatched. Suspect who was taken down by the law enforcement. We know that he was driving a vehicle that appears to have had Texas license plates.
So here's the most troubling part, is the FBI says they do not believe this individual, this terrorist, Shamsud Din Jabbar, was acting alone.
We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We are aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates.
So this press conference that was held yesterday, they said that weapons and IEDs were located in the vehicle. They're talking about maybe some other ones that were placed around the area, and this is why they think there might be more people involved.
The subject has been identified as 42-year-old Shamsud Din Jabbar, a U.S.-born citizen from Texas. An ISIS flag was located on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organizations.
Now, one of the early press conferences yesterday, there wasn't a whole lot of information being given out, and you could see the local lawmakers said, no, you got to tell us everything you know. Here's Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry.
We intend to be transparent in assessing any defects that may have existed in the system so that we can address them. It's the only way to ensure that any mistakes that were made are corrected. It is important for our citizens and guests of this state to know that we are doing everything we can to secure their safety in this city.
WABC News Time, 5:08. Let's go back to New Orleans, where officials there say security barriers that would have protected crowds on Bourbon Street had been removed before Wednesday's attack. The barriers that are called bollards were removed because they had been malfunctioning.
The New Orleans Police Department, of course, deemed them inefficient because they did not operate the way that they were intended to do.
So that's Mayor Latoya Cantrell. She says the bollards were being replaced ahead of the city hosting the Super Bowl in February. The New Orleans police chief says that this this terrorist, let's call him a terrorist, drove onto the sidewalk to get around security barriers. And but there were other ones that had been removed that made it easier to maneuver.
Over 10 years ago, the city of New Orleans implemented an infrastructure project placing bollards on Bourbon Street. Shortly thereafter, the malfunctions of those bollards ensued.
This particular terrorist drove around onto the sidewalk and got around the hard target.
That's the New Orleans police chief.
We have been aware of the bollard situation for a long time, and we did indeed harden those target areas where the bollards are. We had patrol cars out there as a hard target, as well as with barriers. Where we did have a car there, we had barriers there, we had officers there, and they still got around.
Yeah, so of course we're hearing about all of the victims, all 15 of them. One of them, or two of them, one of them, a Princeton University grad, was killed. Another was injured in this truck attack Wednesday morning. The man killed was former Princeton University football player Tiger Besh. He was a wide receiver at Princeton from 2017 to 2019. He was in New Orleans with a friend who also graduated from Princeton, who was injured in the attack. His name is Ryan Quigley. Both Besh Lesh and Quigley worked at Seaport Global, which is a brokerage firm here in the city. And a representative from the company putting out a statement yesterday saying that they were well-regarded employees. Meanwhile, President Biden says he's grateful for the brave and swift response from local law enforcement in New Orleans. He says his Homeland Security team was briefed on the deadly incident of this truck attack.
I'm not going to comment on any specific at all. I've contacted every agency in the federal government as well as the state. They're all coordinating to get to the bare facts. We know what the facts are.
And the president directing his team to ensure every resource available for the city.
Well, the action was one of anger and frustration.
And officials say the Sugar Bowl game between Georgia and Notre Dame, which was postponed yesterday, will kick off at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Former longtime FBI official Rob D'Amico says other College Bowl games and big New Year's events stepped up security following yesterday's truck attack.
Security can only do so much. You have to really look at where the biggest crowd and the most vulnerability is going to be. You want to put all your resources and assets because that's the worst catastrophic event.
So game postponed will be played this afternoon, 4 o'clock.
We also have undercover personnel that are walking a parade route. We have technology in place to sense even bioterrorism events should that occur.
Yeah, so of course they say security will be heightened, no doubt, tonight in New Orleans. And then you had this Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas yesterday, which they're trying to figure out if it's terrorist-related. 100% they haven't said yet. Las Vegas police investigating this deadly vehicle fire at Trump Towers. Deputy Chief of Clark County Fire Department says it was an electric vehicle that caught fire.
There were 7 minor injuries, 2 of which were transported to UMC, again for minor injuries. And there is one fatality within the Cybertruck.
So here's the connection between the two incidents that may make it terror-related is both of the vehicles, the one in New Orleans, this one here in Las Vegas, were rented using the same car agency, rental car agency. Not one of the big ones, one of the smaller ones. So there may be a connection between the two, waiting to find out. And if that wasn't enough bad news to welcome in 2025, 3 people killed, 20 injured in Honolulu in what police are calling a fireworks incident. The mayor of Honolulu says he remains committed to shutting down the illegal fireworks trade once and for all after this accident took place New Year's.
We're angry, frustrated, and deeply saddened at this unnecessary loss of life and suffering. It's a tragic way to start off the new year. What should have been a night of joy and celebration has instead become one of sorrow and heartbreak for our community.
Honolulu Emergency Medical Services says the incident happened early Wednesday in Honolulu's Salt Lake neighborhood. It appears someone lit off aerial fireworks in a driveway, and some of those fell into crates containing more fireworks. 2 people were killed at the scene. Another woman died later at the hospital.
No one should have to endure such pain due to reckless and illegal activity. This incident is a painful reminder of the danger posed by illegal fireworks. They put lives at risk, they drain our first responders, and they disrupt our neighborhoods.
WABC News Time, 5:14. Former President Jimmy Carter's state funeral plans are now all set. Services are going to begin January 4th in Plains, Georgia. And residents of that small town, they got to know Carter well.
When he was no longer in politics, I think he really tried to hold himself to a high moral standard.
Many people have been coming by the Carter Center in Atlanta to pay their respects.
Just to lay a hard hat in honor of President Carter.
Just some flowers, some fresh flowers.
I saw somebody leave a bag of peanuts, and I said, oh, my God, that's so true. That's him.
I brought a big bag of peanuts and a bouquet of flowers because President Carter cut his teeth as a peanut farmer.
So after lying in state concludes, there'll be a service. I should probably get it from the beginning. His initial stop will be in Plains. Carter will lie in repose at the Carter Presidential Center. Then the former president will lie in state at the Rotunda of the U.S. Capitol on Tuesday, January 7th. That'll be open to the public after Congress pays their respect. After the lying in state concludes, there'll be a service at the Washington National Cathedral. Then his remains will be transported back to Plains, Georgia on the same day, where he'll be buried next to his wife, Rosalind.
Thank you for modeling what faith in action looks like.
It wasn't words, it was deeds for him.
For being a role model, for being a hero, for being a friend, and thank you for showing the world what a life of service can look like.
Some of the people at the Carter Center yesterday. President-elect Donald Trump says he will attend the funeral.
Trump made the comment Tuesday while speaking to reporters at a New Year's Eve celebration at Mar-a-Lago. Former President Carter died Sunday at the age of 100. Trump wouldn't say if he had spoken to the Carter family since his death, but said he would attend the state funeral for Carter next week in Washington. He also predicted that Republican Mike Johnson would retain his position as House Speaker and doubled down on his support for HB1 visas for high-skilled immigrants. I'm Brian Shook.
WABC News Time, 5:15. Let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy New Year. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Happy New Year. Good morning to you, Noam Layden. It is good to be back here on the airwaves. We will start with a recap of yesterday's college football playoff quarterfinal drama in Atlanta between 5-seed Texas and 5-seed ASU. Quinn Ewers completed a 28-yard strike to Matthew Golden for a touchdown on 4th and 13 to force a second overtime. And Andrew Mukaba's interception clinched a 39-31 victory after Texas squandered a 16-point lead in the fourth quarter and missed two field goal attempts that could have won it in regulation. The Sun Devils, a 2-touchdown underdog according to Sportsbook, had the game in their grasp before Ewers spotted Golden breaking free between two defenders to haul in the tying score. The win sends Texas back to its home state for a Cotton Bowl semifinal against number 6 Ohio State, which routed number 1 Oregon 41-21 in their Rose Bowl quarterfinal matchup yesterday. Jeremiah Smith caught 2 of Will Howard's 3 long touchdown passes during a sensational 34-point first half, and the number 6 Buckeyes roared into the college football playoff semis with their big win. Howard passed for 319 yards. Emeka Egbuka also caught a long TD pass, and Treveon Henderson made a 66-yard touchdown run in a redemptive Rose Bowl for the Buckeyes, who lost a 32-31 heartbreaker to the Ducks in Eugene in October. Yesterday's win was the Buckeyes' biggest margin of victory over number 1 team in school history. As for the one remaining quarterfinal bout between number 7 seed Notre Dame and 2 seed Georgia, they were meant to play yesterday, but due to the tragic news coming out of New Orleans, where the game is meant to be played, kickoff has been postponed to this afternoon at 4 p.m., with the Irish heading in as narrow 1-point favorites. The winner of that game will go on to face 6-seed Penn State in the semis. To the NBA hardwood at the Garden, where Karl Anthony Towns had 31 points and 21 rebounds. Josh Hart notched his second straight triple-double, and the Knicks won their 9th straight game, beating the Utah Jazz 119-103, despite playing out without their leading scorer in Jalen Brunson. Hart finished with 15 points, 14 rebounds, and 12 assists to become the first Knicks player since Michael Ray Richardson in 1981 with consecutive triple-doubles. Hart has a total of 4 this season and became the 4th player to have 10 triple-doubles with the Knicks. Mikal Bridges scored 27 points, and OG Anunoby had 22. For New York, Brunson missed the game with right calf tightness and was replaced by Cam Payne, who finished with 8 points and 9 assists. New York shot 55% from the field as a team and have now won 14 of their last 16 games. They'll head to Oklahoma City next to battle the Thunder tomorrow night. As for the Nets, they fell 130-113 to the Raptors up in Toronto. Cam Johnson scored 24 points and D'Angelo Russell scored 22 in his return to Brooklyn, but the Nets lost their 3rd straight and 11th of 14. Russell was acquired from the Lakers on December 29th, rejoining the franchise, of course, he played for from 2017 to 2019. Up next for Brooklyn, they'll be in Milwaukee tonight for an 8 p.m. tip-off against the Bucks. Finally, it was just the Devils who were on the ice last night, getting blanked by the Kings out in L.A. Final score there, 3-0. Up next for the Dubs, they'll visit San Jose come Saturday. Looking ahead to local NHL action tonight, the Rangers look to turn a corner to start 2025, getting set to welcome in the Boston Bruins for a 7 p.m. puck drop before the Islanders return to the ice at home for a 7:30 p.m. start against the Toronto Maple Leafs. That is your Sports Know, man. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
5:20. Over half of Puerto Rico started the new year without power.
Luma Energy added that it could take between 24 and 48 hours to restore power to those affected. The company said that a failure in an underground line was responsible, but Puerto Rico's governor said online that he was demanding answers and solutions.
U.S. territory hit with this major blackout on Tuesday left over 1 million residents without electricity on New Year's Eve. The good news is as of this morning, almost everybody does have the lights back on in Puerto Rico. U.S. investigators on the ground in South Korea today to assist after Sunday's Air Boeing 737 crash that killed 179 people. Chris Gilbert has more.
During their initial joint on-site investigation, they focused on a navigation system that helps aircraft landings known as a localizer, which is installed on a concrete structure at the airport and has been blamed for exacerbating the severity of casualties in the crash.
The plane was coming in from Bangkok, went off the runway, hit a wall, burst into flames. 2 people actually survived, which is amazing in itself. Members of the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board are with the team, which includes advisors from the FAA helping figure out what took place here.
South Korea's transport ministry says that data has now been completely extracted from the cockpit voice recorder recovered from the crashed plane. The flight recorder reportedly suffered some external damage, but the cockpit voice recorder was found in a better condition.
And there have been reports that a bird strike or just bad weather may have contributed to that crash. 522, backers of President-elect Donald Trump want him to clamp down on illegal immigration, day one of his administration. Former U.S. Border Patrol Chief and Deputy Commissioner Ronald Vitello argues that time is now for ICE to confront states that go against federal immigration policy.
They'll go to places like New York and the entire state of California, which is so-called a sanctuary. This is a destructive policy that needs to end.
Vitello also arguing that social service policies for illegal immigrants that were put in place during the Biden administration need to end now.
ICE is a law enforcement agency. Their funds should not be diverted for social services, regardless of who the recipients are. Let other social service agencies do that. Put them back in the business of enforcing the law. That's why they're there.
President-elect Trump has promised a mass deportation of illegal aliens on day one of his administration. Meanwhile, business leaders are backing Donald Trump and Elon Musk's visa reform plan.
We need the best and the brightest here, and the H-1B visa program is a very important tool for us to achieve just that.
That's Glenn Hammer. He heads the Texas Association of Businesses, says that the push to increase visas comes at a critical time. Research into AI, artificial intelligence, skyrocketing, and he says we need more highly skilled engineers to stay ahead of China. He says when American businesses succeed, it helps all workers, and he says without more of these H-1B visas, high-tech firms may look to expand elsewhere.
We are the best country in the history of the world, and the best and the brightest want to come and work here. The H-1B visa has been so valuable, filling those gaps in the labor force that, if not filled, would actually harm native-born American workers.
WABC News Time 523. Republicans do have a wish list for President-elect Trump's proposed government efficiency task force. Texas Congressman Chip Roy has his eye on entitlement programs that help feed the hungry, which he says are bloated.
Just put in restraint on the use of food stamps.
He and other Republicans have been floating the idea of removing soft drinks like Coke, Pepsi, Mountain Dew from food stamp eligibility. It's also a key part of RFK Jr.'s Make America Healthy initiative. The American Beverage Association, well, they're slamming the suggestion, saying in a statement that the restrictions go against America's commitment to individual freedoms and liberty. But the Texas Congressman Chip Roy wants to slap these restrictions on the food stamp program.
Food stamps feed our people sugar. For example, we can save hundreds of billions of dollars.
WABC News Time 524. New laws going to effect in states across the country yesterday.
Laws restricting guns will take effect in Delaware, Minnesota, and New York. A new California crime law will crack down on repeat offenders, and California school districts will no longer require teachers to disclose a student's gender identity to their parents. Medical marijuana is now legal in Nebraska, and medical marijuana dispensaries can now open in Kentucky. A new law in Florida makes it illegal for a child under 14 to open a social media account. And the minimum wage is going up in 21 states today. I'm Michael Kastner.
It'll be awfully interesting to see what happens in Florida with that new law that took effect yesterday, these online protections for minors. Governor Ron DeSantis says social media platforms are now required to end accounts suspected of belonging to someone under 14, and anyone 14 or 15 can only keep their account with parental consent.
With things like social media and all this, you can have a kid in the house, safe seemingly, and then you have predators that can get right in there.
So this law adds fines and civil liabilities for any social media site that knowingly violates this new law in Florida.
Being buried in those devices all day is not the best way to grow up. It's not the best way to get a good education. Ultimately, trying to help parents navigate this very difficult terrain that we have now with raising kids.
5:26, I was listening to Frank Morano on the other side of midnight as I came in this morning and talking to him about this norovirus that has been going around during the holiday season. God forbid it comes here to WABC, but it seems like there's a lot of people who have this. It is up sharply across the country. Infectious disease specialist Dr. Robert Citronberg says if you get the foodborne illness, you'll know it. Yeah, I think you would.
It starts suddenly, and you will get nausea, then vomiting and diarrhea, and it becomes so severe that you can become dehydrated from it.
Yeah, so it is so highly contagious. Of course, the best way to avoid getting it are the obvious things. Wash your hands like 100 times a day. Keep away from somebody who's got it.
Soap and water are the mainstays of prevention for this. Hand sanitizer really doesn't do the trick for this. The shell of the virus is kind of hard, and it really doesn't break down with the components of a hand disinfectant.
Yeah, and of all the illnesses you can get, like the viruses, that's the worst when you're sitting there throwing up. But apparently there are a lot of people who have this. And, of course, now that we're all back from the holiday break, we'll probably be giving it to each other, which is just lovely.
Talk Radio 77 WABC. It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me, 5:34. Good morning. It is Thursday, January 2nd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Snow showers this morning. Peaks of sunshine this afternoon. The high going to be 42. Tonight and overnight, clear, low 31. And then Friday, sun and clouds, high 38. If you are walking out the door with us right now, thank you so much. It's 40 and partly cloudy in East Hampton out on Long Island. 37 and partly cloudy in Riverdale over in New Jersey. And it's 38 and partly cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. We'll start this half hour out on Coney Island in Brooklyn, where about 4,000 people decided to jump into the icy Atlantic for what is the annual Coney Island Polar Bear Club's New Year's Day Polar Plunge. Now, I would argue, is it a polar plunge when it's almost 50 degrees outside? Well, others would say, well, no, the water temperature was 39 degrees. But when I did this, and I only tell you the story to point out the fact that I actually did the polar bear plunge, there was snow on the beach. It wasn't 50 degrees. So anyway, either way, it was cold, and it's all for a good cause in the end.
We did it, people! We did it! It was great. The water was beautiful. It was freezing. It was cold, but we're here. Happy New Year, New York.
Yeah, so while these people were throwing off their clothes and running into the Atlantic to celebrate New Year's Day, they're also raising funds for a lot of good organizations, including the Coney Island YMCA, the New York Aquarium, the Alliance for Coney Island. And so people say they're crazy, but in the end, they say it's a good thing because they're raising money.
I say I'm a little bit crazy, but that's okay.
I first did the polar bear plunge back in 2017. I did it again last year, and I'm doing it this year. I'm probably going to do it next year. I don't care how crazy that makes me sound.
Now, from doing it the one time I did it, and I said, that's enough. It's off the bucket list. It does bring this rush of adrenaline and endorphins when you hit that cold water and swim around for a minute or two. Or 4,000 people. I don't remember that many people there when I did it a number of years ago. But it is a party, and afterwards everybody goes up to the boardwalk and has a drink or two.
I am 60 years old. When I jump in that water, I feel like I'm 10 years old.
Get rid of all the old stuff and bring in the new.
Today is just a very good way to kind of reset everything.
You do it,
You ring in the new year, take all the bad luck with you, leave it in the ocean, and that's it.
Yeah, okay. I like that. WABC News Time, 5:38. What is with everything that's going on in the subways during our holiday break? The woman was set on fire. That woman, homeless woman from Toms River, was killed. Then we've had a couple of people shoved onto the tracks. The latest one was on Tuesday, a strap hanger who allegedly pushed another man onto the tracks at a subway station on Chelsea on Tuesday, faced a judge yesterday. Police say 23-year-old Kamel Hawkins pushed a 45-year-old man off the platform into the path of a 1 train at the 18th Street station in that neighborhood Tuesday afternoon.
Right at the last second, right in front of the train. Just shoved right in front of the train.
So Hawkins was arraigned in court on charges of attempted murder and assault. He was ordered held without bail. Police department says Hawkins, they know him well, has prior arrests dating back to just October for aggravated harassment. In June of 2019 for an assault on a police officer. City Councilman Eric Botcher checked in with the victim, who he says is going to recover.
If you look at the video, you wonder how he could have survived. So against all odds, he is going to survive.
Yeah, well, that's the good news. Family and friends of his arrived at Bellevue Hospital yesterday, some from out of state, including Florida, where they say the victim lived before moving recently to New York City. WABC News Time, 5:40. There's still an effort in New Jersey to try and delay the start of congestion pricing, which is set to begin on Sunday.
Judge Leo Gordon calling on the Federal Highway Administration to review and provide an explanation for certain parts of the congestion pricing program following a lawsuit filed by New Jersey that aims to stop it. However, the judge never said specifically in the ruling whether the start of congestion pricing this Sunday should be delayed until the feds respond. So New Jersey attorney Bruce Nagel says he's filing new paperwork asking the judge for clarification by Friday. The MTA insists the tolling program can start as planned. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time, 5:40. So this will be an interesting year in New Jersey. They'll pick a governor. Here in the city, we'll pick a mayor, maybe a new one, maybe the old one. Mayor Adams, reflecting on what was a tumultuous 2024, the past year saw Adams indicted on federal corruption charges, the homes of several top aides raided, the resignations of other top officials, most recently, of course, the NYPD chief of department, Jeffrey Madry, over sexual misconduct allegations.
Listen, man, life is hard. Now, do you sit and wallow in despair and whine about, look, what's the cards that were dealt with me? Or do you play the hand that you have? Look at the numbers. I've moved the city forward.
Adams says he's proud of Madry's policing practices while acknowledging the allegations against him are troubling. In addition, the mayor defended his administration, saying everyone brings in experts from their circles, but he notes he needs to reflect on what he can do better. And he expressed optimism for 2025.
When his policing practices and what he has done as a police officer, the knowns, I have been extremely, extremely proud of those knowns. Those are the things that people knew him for.
And there was already a lot of violence even before the sun came up on January 1st, Wednesday morning. New York City had its first 2 murders of 2025. The first one happened 4:20 a.m. when a man was slashed in the neck outside of Delhi, and this was West 137th Street in Harlem. The victim pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. A suspect actually turned himself into police a short time later. No word what prompted that attack. And then about an hour later, after that incident, a gunman opened fire on a group of people in the Bronx. A Citizen app video shows the scene. This is East 170th Street and Teller Avenue. That's the Claremont section. Police say the 46-year-old Mario Fowler was found inside the location with gunshot wounds to both legs. He was rushed to Barnabas Hospital, St. Barnabas Hospital, where he passed away. 23-year-old also suffered a graze wound to the chin in that incident. So far, no word on who, if police have taken anybody into custody in that incident. And Mayor Adams was talking about all the violence over the last couple months, especially the subway violence, including that horrific attack when a woman was burned alive while sleeping on an F train in Brooklyn.
You know, you tell them that, listen, crime is down the lowest since 2009. If you take away the COVID years when no one was on the system, you know, people don't want to hear that. They said someone just got burned, Eric.
Adams says New Yorkers must feel safe, and they're seeing what they're reading. He says he wants to see more cops on platforms and trains engaging with the public so they feel safer.
She resided in New Jersey. She had a brief stint.
So he's talking about the woman who was burned to death here.
She resided in New Jersey. She had a brief stint in our homeless shelter system. And, our hearts goes out to the family, a horrific incident.
But in the end, Mayor Adams says it's up to him and up to the NYP to make sure that New Yorkers feel safe when getting on the subways.
And one of the biggest inhibitors for people feeling safe, you go down in the system, I heard it over and over again. Too many people are sleeping on our subway system that should not be using our subway system as a place of housing.
544. Wages going up for millions of Americans at the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve.
A total of 21 states are raising their wage floors as the new year gets started. The pay hikes are expected to affect more than 9 million workers. Once the pay hikes are enacted, Washington will become the state with the highest minimum wage at $16.66 an hour. New York and California will share in second place, offering workers $16.50. I'm Mark Mayfield.
And with the start of a new year, New Jersey drivers going to pay more to gas up.
The Garden State gas tax has risen by 2.6% because of a new law raising money to fix decrepit roads and highways and to help fund transit projects. So for each gallon of gas you buy, you're paying nearly 50 cents in taxes. That's the 8th highest pump price tax burden in the nation. In New Jersey, the tax increases now push the average price of a gallon of regular to $2.94, but the average price nationally still costs 10 cents more. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time, 5:45. Let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk and Justin Allen.
Thank you, Noel Mullen. And start here with a recap of yesterday's college football playoff quarterfinal drama in Atlanta between 5-seed Texas and 5-seed ASU. Quinn Ewers completed a 28-yard strike to Matthew Golden for a touchdown on 4th and 13 to force a second overtime, and Andrew Mukaba's interception clinched a 39-31 victory after Texas squandered a 16-point lead in the fourth quarter and missed 2 field goal attempts that could have won it in regulation. The Sun Devils, a 2-touchdown underdog according to Sportsbook, had the game in their grasp before Ewers spotted Golden breaking free behind 2 defenders to haul in the tying score. The win sends Texas back to its home state for a Cotton Bowl semifinal against number 6 Ohio State, which routed number 1 Oregon 41-21 in their Rose Bowl quarterfinal matchup yesterday. Jeremiah Smith caught 2 of Will Howard's 3 long touchdown passes during a sensational 34-point first half, and the number 6 Buckeyes roared into the college football playoff semifinals with their big win. Howard passed for 319 yards. Emeka Egbuka also caught a long TD pass, and Treveon Henderson made a 66-yard touchdown run in a redemptive Rose Bowl for the Buckeyes, who lost a 32-31 heartbreaker to the Ducks in Eugene in October. Yesterday's win was the Buckeyes' biggest margin of victory over a number 1 team in school history. As for the one remaining quarterfinal bout between number 7 seed Notre Dame and 2 seed Georgia, they were meant to play yesterday, but due to the tragic news coming out of New Orleans, where the game is meant to be played, kickoff has been postponed to this afternoon at 4 p.m. with the Irish heading in as narrow 1-point favorites. The winner of that game will go on to face 6 seed Penn State in the semis. To the NBA hardwood at the Garden, where Karl Anthony Towns had 31 points and 21 rebounds. Josh Hart notched his 2nd straight triple-double, and the Knicks won their 9th straight game, beating the Utah Jazz 119-103, despite playing without leading scorer Jalen Brunson. Hart finished with 15 points, 14 rebounds, and 12 assists to become the first Knicks player since Michael Ray Richardson in 1981 with consecutive triple-doubles. Hart has a total of 4 this season and became the 4th player to have 10 triple-doubles with the Knicks. Mikal Bridges scored 27, and OG Anunoby had 22 for New York. Brunson missed the game with right calf tightness and was replaced by Cam Payne, who finished with 8 points and 9 assists. New York shot 55% from the field as a team. They've now won 14 of their last 16. They'll head to Oklahoma City next to battle the Thunder tomorrow night. As for the Nets, they fell 130-113 to the Raptors. Up in Toronto, Cam Johnson scored 24 points, and D'Angelo Russell, he had 22 in his return to Brooklyn.
Oh, he played last night.
Yeah, he was acquired from the Lakers, Noam, on December 29th. He, of course, played for the Nets from 2017 to 2019, so he makes a return.
Are they going to keep him, or are they just going to trade him away for somebody else?
No, I would imagine you keep him around for at least...
He's a good player.
For at least more than a week here. No, I mean, my God, it's been 3 days.
Well, that was the rumors. They might just hold him for a little while and dish him off to somebody else.
But after last night, putting in 22 points, he looks serviceable for sure. So, but if you're Brooklyn, you're not playing for much this season, so you could afford to experiment a little bit with D'Angelo, see where it takes you, and then if you have to make a move, you make a move. We'll see. Up next for Brooklyn, they'll be in Milwaukee tonight for an 8 p.m. tip-off against the Bucks. Finally, it was just the Devils who were on the ice last night, losing 3-0 to the Kings out in L.A. Up next for them, they'll visit San Jose come Saturday. Looking ahead, I should say, to local NHL action tonight. The Rangers back out there, getting set to welcome the Boston Bruins for a 7 p.m. puck drop before the Islanders return to the ice at home for a 7:30 p.m. start against the Toronto Maple Leafs. That is your Sports Gnome, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
5:50. Let's go back out to Long Island, Patchogue, Long Island, where a family search for their missing daughter continues nearly a month after she was first reported missing. And now the mother of Gabby Petito is hoping to help raise awareness for this teenager and others that are missing nationwide. Gabby Petito's mom, Nicole, is helping to spread the word about this missing 14-year-old we had told you about before the holiday break, Emma Ray Gervasi, who is still missing this morning.
It touched my heart. It's my hometown, and I think that the whole island at this point is probably looking for Emma Ray.
Yeah, so the Gabby Petito Foundation now aims to prevent similar tragedies from happening to others and support parents like Frank Gervasi, who's been out searching for his daughter, Emma Ray.
He has been just looking for her nonstop. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't eat. I know how that feels.
It's horrible. It's scary. Your mind never stops. There's never any rest. And, there's no closure right now.
So Gervasi was last seen on Terrell Street in Patchogue, leaving her house. This was back on December 9th. 3 weeks later, over 50 people from the community came together this week to search for her. But so far, no signs of that teenager.
Just to see the community pull together and spend their time trying to help me find my daughter means the world to me, because she deserves it. She's a beautiful little kid, and she just needs to be home.
Gabby's mom and her stepdad are using their voice to help bring Emma Ray home.
It was really Gabby that made us have a voice. We speak because we understand as parents how it feels, and having a missing loved one is the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah, it's a terrible story so far. They haven't been able to find that 14-year-old. From Patchogue, let's go to Suffolk County, where they're honoring one of their own this week for her heroic effort to rescue a jet skier who fell through the ice. Kayla Masato, who's from Mastic Beach, heard a commotion on the creek behind her house. This was last week, and she decided to spring into action. She witnessed this man on a jet ski sink into the semi-frozen lake. The water was so cold that this man was in the early stages of hypothermia, but Masato quickly grabbed her paddle board that she uses, paddled out to meet the man, and pulled him aboard, and then was able to pull him to shore with the help of other bystanders.
The jet ski started to sink. He started to go down. He was panicking. I heard him. I saw that the jet ski was sinking, and then I just ran downstairs. He was trying to climb up on the ice, but it kept breaking underneath him, and he was trying to punch the ice, but it was too thick. He couldn't move, so he was truly stuck.
Now, why he was jet skiing in the wintertime, we don't know. Why he ended up in this ice-covered area, that part we don't know. But Masato says she wasn't scared. She knew she had to go rescue this man when she saw him screaming for help.
To be honest with you, I was not scared. Adrenaline takes over your body, and you kind of just go into fight or flight. I'm a boater. I grew up on the water. I swim. I've sailed. I have no fear of the water.
The man is okay, and for Masato, that's why she said she did it, was to rescue this guy and see he's okay. And he asked, we don't know who this individual is, but he asked to meet Masato so he could thank her face to face.
He wanted to meet me and thank me, which was an honor, and he had told me that it was very emotional. He thought he was going to die.
Yeah, good job, or great job, I should say, done by Kayla Masato. So are you one of these people who joined gym because it's your New Year's resolution to lose weight and look better? Well, now it'll be easy to get out of that New Year's resolution if you decide the gym is not for you, because so many people do join a gym at the beginning of the year and then say, oh, wait a minute, I don't really want to do this and I don't want to pay for it. So what happens if you decide you want to cancel that gym membership here in New York, where a new state law will go into effect February 1st that requires health clubs to accept and process cancellations and refunds within 10 business days. So it'll be easier to cancel it and easier to get some of your money back.
Wow.
That seems only fair. Learning that it's easier to cancel is really good news. I've had a gym membership for years, and since the pandemic, I've hardly been in the gym, so I've been paying monthly, thinking that if I cancel it, it'll just be harder to rejoin.
Yeah, so apparently she'd get some of that money back. Those are some people who were showing up at the gym yesterday. The new law also allows gym members to cancel online, and gym contracts can be canceled without a penalty up to 3 days after they're signed. So if you sign it and then you say, wait a minute, who am I kidding? I'm not going to the gym. You can get your money back.
But I could see that being an issue for an establishment, like if they have to turn around money right away that they then, had used for fixing up gym equipment. It might not be that easy.
Yeah, but in the end, you have a little more power on your side. It's not just the gym that has all the power. Okay, every year we go through this. Who is the first baby born in the new year? And it used to be we tried to figure out exactly who that is, but now each hospital puts out its own report about who the first baby born in their hospital was. So we'll start with Maimonides Health. Up in the Bronx, it was baby Malaya, who was born at 3:54 a.m. on January 1st. Here are her parents, who were pretty excited to welcome her.
We were joking, saying that if she was born on Christmas, she'd only get one gift. So maybe she heard the joke and was like, I'm going to come on New Year then.
Yeah, so Malaya was a late arrival, born a week after Christmas, her due date.
More exciting than just going out and partying and all that. Mm-hmm. This is like, we got a real responsibility here.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
And then there was Maurice Edward Williams, born exactly at 12 a.m., Montefiore Hospital in the Bronx. Her mother said that the baby could not wait for the ball to drop.
This is baby Maurice. Due date was January 14th. So we were still getting prepared for him. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he wanted to shout out and give us the best start to 2025...
It is very, very exciting, yes.
Yeah, and out on Long Island, Northwell Health's first baby of the year was Golbano, and she made her grand entrance at 12:10 a.m. on January 1st.
The new year, every year going forward will be special to us.
Yeah, a lot of excited parents there. And as 2024 comes to an end, lots of people giving their weighing in on what they think will be the big events of 2025.
I think New Jersey, just like Asbury Park, is just getting better and better all the time. That's my prediction.
To walk more by the ocean. And my prediction, peace on earth.
We're hoping that the Giants and the Jets can turn it around.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Overall.
I hope the Giants do better. I don't know if they will, though.
I'm predicting maybe a playoff run, maybe, for any team, but no championships. That's positive. Is that not positive?
And these people along the Jersey Shore giving their New Year's resolutions.
Got to do a lot more walking and try to have a dry January, except for maybe 1 week in January.
Okay. Eat more pizza. Yes. That would be a resolution.
I love that.
Can you guys have U-turns, please? Just let go of the jug handles. They make no sense.
Yeah, dry January with 1 week of not a dry January. Okay.